Hello everyone, welcome to a new chess video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to win in a very decisive way against your opponents with the famous King's Gambit. One of your favorite gambits, and I'm not surprised. It's a great gambit and very difficult to defend. I'm going to show you how to win if they capture the gambit pawn and if they don't capture it. So this video is going to be spectacular and super comprehensive. Let's start by seeing what happens if instead of capturing this pawn, right, they decide to defend it. Many people say, oh, they're trying to set a trap for me. I'm going to defend the pawn, so absolutely nothing happens. Well, don't worry, because as I said, I'm going to show you both ways to win. And besides, both ways are beautiful and spectacular. Let's go. How should we react if they defend the pawn? Very simple. We're just going to keep putting pressure on the e5 pawn with our pieces. Advantages of the King's Gambit, we're going to be able to attack in a decisive way through this column right here. The file is going to be lethal because when we castle, the rook will be placed on this file, and the rook will directly attack the enemy king. You'll see, we're attacking this pawn with two pieces, so they have to defend it. Perfect. We'll continue developing our pieces in a super correct way. Knight f3, bishop c4. As you can see, it looks like an Italian opening, right? The only difference is this pawn here, which goes from being on its starting square to being on f4. A radical change. We can see that here our opponents could play, for example, this very annoying pin. It's one of the moves I encounter most in my games. And what are we going to do? Are we going to kick the bishop out? No. Are we going to try to cover ourselves again with our already developed bishop? No. Are we going to prevent the knight jump over here to d4 so that it puts a lot of pressure on the pin? Well, no. We're going to castle. We're simply going to castle. As you can see, our opponent is still very far behind in development. He simply hasn't brought out either of the two pieces for castling, and for example, here, he might be very tempted, I'm telling you, because I see it a lot, to play knight d4, a move that obviously looks great. This knight is pinned by the bishop, I pressure it with the other knight, and now what do you do, chess teacher? Well, don't worry, because this is a pretty typical mistake. What are they doing? Advancing their pieces too much when they haven't completed development yet. So here we already have a winning tactical blow. Because this King's Gambit is amazing. Bishop takes f7, we're already going to win the game. Why is this move so bad? Well, simply, if they don't decide to capture this bishop, then we've won the pawn for free. And also, later we're going to capture here, we'll open the file for the rook, it'll defend well, perfect. However, here the only move that seems to hold up is to accept this gambit. And why have we given away the bishop? Do we have any counterplay? Evidently, of course, we're gonna jump in to give check with this knight, so that this undefended bishop will then be attacked by our queen. So, check, and if the king moves, we'll take the bishop. But here, friends, I'm gonna tell you something that's happened to me in quite a few games, especially online. Many people think, well, if I'm gonna take your queen and you're checking me, I'll give you the queen for the knight, right? And then when you capture it, well, I'll capture yours. However, when we capture their queen, we are giving a check to the king. And here, they have to resign immediately. We're giving check to the king, they have to move away, and then we capture their bishop. So we win the queen, and we also win the bishop. That's why, evidently here, after this check with the knight, the tactical idea of queen for knight doesn't work. They absolutely have to move the king. And how are we going to continue? Well, logically, we're going to capture this bishop. Recount, we have an extra pawn, the pawn we won on f7. But not only that, our opponent has lost the right to castle, which is huge because their king is in the center and will be for the whole game. And the most important thing of all is that now we're going to win quite convincingly. Something common our opponents think is, well, I've lost the pawn, but I'll get it back here. And not only that, but I win your rook. Don't worry, whatever they do, we're much better off. But I'm going to show you how to win this because it's very simple. Many of you are thinking, well, we come in with the queen through here, right? To give a check. But this wouldn't be a good move because they would simply block it. Very well. Here, we're going to capture with the pawn. We're going to make this pawn exchange, but not with the idea of coming in with the queen, as many of you are thinking, but with the idea of opening the file for the rook. And here there are going to be 1,001 tactics, a simple way to win that you'll find many times. Pay attention. Rook for bishop, exchange sacrifice, very simple, because now when they capture the rook, we simply come in with the knight. Knight e6, check, and I'm going to take the queen on the next move. Very well, chess teacher. And what happens if when I play the king's gambit, they take the pawn? Because logically, I find thousands of games where they take the pawn, and if I don't know how to continue, I'm gonna lose the game. Don't worry. We're gonna play knight f3 because this is super beautiful. We play knight f3. What do we threaten? Well, if our opponent gets distracted now and plays a move that has nothing to do with the position, like I'm just making this up, right? Knight to c6. We're gonna play b4, all right? We have the pawn center, we're threatening this pawn right here, and we're going to end up with a fabulously good game for ourselves. We have the center, our bishops come out beautifully, our rook will have an open file. This is obvious, right? What is the correct move here for the black pieces? If they know, that they can't let us carry out this easy plan because then we'd be completely in control. So the correct move here is to defend this extra pawn they have. Yes, it looks like a risky move, but it's a correct move. Plus, it defends this spot, it can come and threaten the other knight, and it seems like everything is held together. So, chess teacher, if they don't play this move here, I know I play d4 and I'm doing great, but how do I do it? If they play the good move, since nowadays many people already know what the good moves are, well then, pay attention, okay? h4. We're gonna come and destroy our opponent's pawn structure. And you're gonna love this, because watch how it continues. First of all, can they defend this pawn? Well, if they try to defend it with this pawn, they've lost on the spot, because after the exchanges, this rook is left undefended, and we'd simply capture it. That's why this pawn cannot be defended with a 6. Right, got it? It can't be defended with c6 either, and now I'll explain why. Before that, I want to explain what the correct move for black is, because here black only has one single correct move. The thing is, it's a tricky one to figure out. The correct move is this pawn advance attacking our knight. If they play the correct one, what should you do? You should jump here with the knight attacking this pawn they just advanced, and besides, we have a fabulous position. We're going to play bishop to c4, hitting this spot. We're also going to play d4, threatening the other pawn, which is no longer defended, and in conclusion, we have a very, very good position. Right? This is what we'll do if they advance the pawn, which is the correct move. However, I've come across very, very few games where they advance the pawn. If they do, you already know the follow-up. Most see that a 6 isn't possible because of the exchanges, and they try to defend the pawn with the move f6. Perhaps the most logical move in the position. How should we continue? Well, this is very important. A serious mistake for white, capturing with the pawn. Why? Because then black would recapture with their pawn and their structure looks wonderfully good. The correct and winning move here, pay attention to this because it'll fascinate you. Knight takes pawn, sacrificing the knight. Chess teacher, are you going crazy? Yes, I'm always going crazy. You know that all too well. The channel subscribers. But here we have a winning continuation. In other words, we've already won the game here. And you should learn this like it's a song or like it's a dance. Because from here, you can already deliver checkmate. Is it easy? Is it fast? Well, it's neither easy nor fast, but if you memorize it, you're going to win 100% because it's a guaranteed mate. First, we move in with the queen. That was the point of sacrificing the knight since our opponent has pushed the kingside pawns too aggressively, leaving gaps for our queen to launch an attack. Possible moves for black here, they only have one, this one right here. First, what are we going to do? We're going to capture this pawn, right? We're going to capture this pawn. The king can go back, and here black will think, well, if they come here, we'll just keep doing the same thing, and it'll be a draw. Careful, 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 because when they move back... Yes, that's right, you must give this check again. But for what? To force the king forward, there's no other way, and now give this check on e5. It's important, okay? You should memorize this. You can watch it as many times as you need. It's simpler than it looks. All right? It's quite simple. Where can this king go? As you can see, it only has one square, this one right here. That's it. And now we bring the bishop to c4. All we've done is give check, take the pawn, check, and come here. And now bring in the other bishop to give check. The king only has one square again. It wouldn't help to push to d4 because we just take the pawn. Sorry, d5. So the king can only come here, and mate is getting closer and closer. It's as simple as given. This check on f5 with the queen, the king can only go to one single square. What square does he have available here? Well, he can only move to the side, as you can see. Well, he could also go back, which seems more efficient, but we just give this check with the queen, and now he must go to the side. It's that simple. Many of you will say, obviously, I should bring in this bishop. Yes, but if we play d4 right away, we're getting the king time to escape. So first we give this check, right? The king has to move. I give this check again, and when he returns, now d3 or d4, both are checkmate. Obviously, they could block with the queen, but we just capture anyway, delivering a brutal checkmate. If this variation seemed too long with too many moves to memorize, don't worry, I have another great solution you'll love. Knight f3. And when they defend the pawn, instead of playing bishop c4, which we just saw as a great solution, I have another great one. Knight c3. Very good move. Yes, we're allowing his pawn push again, which looks quite dangerous, and now it looks even more so. Let me explain why. Since we don't have this pawn in front, they're threatening the knight. This knight has to jump forward, but now it looks like black is winning. How, chess teacher? Well, by bringing in the queen. They forced our knight out, and now they're giving us this check, and it seems mandatory to start moving the king toward the center and blocking our pieces, which looks horrible, because if we play g3, as you can see, the only move that seems to defend, then they would capture here, and we can't recapture because we'd lose the rook. So, chess teacher, why do you recommend this variation if it looks like I'm totally lost? Wait, we are not lost. g3 is a winning move. Black thinks they're winning, but no, because now, after pawn takes pawn, we aren't forced to recapture. See? So here, we're gonna play a super strong move. What move is it? The following one. Queen takes pawn. This move is wonderful. Queen takes g4. What are we threatening? Taking their queen, that's obvious. So black has two valid options. First, it wouldn't be possible to take this pawn with a discovered check because they'd lose the queen, see? So the two options they have would be one, to exchange queens, obviously exchange queens, and our position is fabulous. We have much better development, two knights out. We're going to play d4, we're going to play knight d5, threatening a fork. This position is fantastic. Black was attacking and they've achieved absolutely nothing. So here, trading queens doesn't seem like the best option for black. There's no doubt about that. However, here there's a move that seems indisputably the best for the black pieces, and you must know how to continue. Simple, don't worry. The move is as follows. g7, discovered check. Many of you will say, wait, chess teacher, is he hanging the queen? Yes, he's hanging the queen, and in fact, we must capture it. However, they're going to capture our rook and promote to a queen, meaning they'll have an extra queen. Watch how it goes. Queen takes queen, pawn takes rook, and they promote to a queen. And so here, black has an extra rook. However, excuse me, we are winning. Why? Because that queen can't get out of there. So our pieces will perform super well, while our opponent's pieces won't be able to do anything at all. How should we continue? You have many solutions here. For example, queen h5 threatening mate would be a super good solution. However, I'm going to give you my favorite, because here there's a way to finish it off elegantly that you're going to love. The move is knight d5. We take advantage of our piece's activity to attack in a brutal way. Pay attention to this. We have a queen attacking in a brutal way. The two knights join the attack, but instead of knights, these look like dinosaurs, right? We're attacking this fork. and our opponent has all their pieces unmoved. Without moving, the only one that's moved is the queen, and she can't move there either. So what should they do? Stop this check, which wouldn't just be a check, but checkmate, since the king couldn't escape thanks to our queen. So the only move that stops it is knight to a6. But we can keep attacking, and in fact, we have a pretty brutal move here to keep doing just that. The move is as follows. We're going to continue with the move d4. What does the move d4 allow us to do? It's very simple, friends. Bring the only piece we're missing into the attack. Now we have both bishops on the same diagonal. The sample game I just pulled up continued with bishop to e7, but you'll see that this ends in checkmate in an elegant way. Queen takes bishop, a monumental queen sacrifice. Friends, you don't have to give away your queen, but here we have such an advantage in pieces and activity that it's just too easy to deliver. Checkmate even without the queen. Now, they must capture with the might, and watch out because knight to f6 will be mate on the next move. If the king goes to f8, bishop to h6 is mate. Fabulous, right? And if the king goes to d8, simply knight takes f7 is checkmate, since the knight is covering the other escape square. Don't tell me that isn't impressive. Well, wait, because the best part of the video is still to come. How wonderful! I'm going to show you how you can be creative with this gambit to win your games. The good thing about the King's Gambit is that it has so many attacks that you can practically invent them if you play with a bit of logic. For example, we can play bishop to c4 directly. The idea of playing knight to f3 in our other variations was precisely to prevent the queen from entering through these very weak squares on the king's side, right? Because this knight acts as a perfect defender. However, chess teacher, what happens if we allow, for example, with bishop to c4 first, for the queen to come in here? To give us this check, well, don't worry, because here, even though it looks like a very good move, in fact, it really does look like it, we have an extremely strong move, which is king to f1. Let me explain. g3 is terrible. Why? Because they capture us and we can't recapture because we lose the rook, right? So king to f1. Chess teacher, don't give me that nonsense. We just move the king on our fourth move. Our opponent is attacking. They're threatening checkmate over here. I have serious problems. Calm down, friends. Calm down. The king is on f8, but we can be creative. I'll show you. For example, d4. Where were you going so fast with that bishop? Now, this bishop has to move. For example, knight to f3. Where were you going with that queen? Now, this queen must move. And as you can see, if she retreats, simply, I'll give you the example, we capture here, and our pieces are, well, dancing in a club. That's how happy they are. The only way the black pieces have here to try and sustain their attack and their position is to keep defending this pawn. However, right here, we have a winning tactical blow. It's a tactical blow that, if we're creative, will quickly come to mind. Bishop takes f7, a sacrifice you should always keep in mind when playing the King's Gambit. It's obvious you can't take this bishop, because knight to e5 check would follow, and we'd take the queen. Well, our opponent will see that the sacrifice can't be taken. It's obvious, right? And they'll play, for example, king to f8. Alright, they play king to f8, and then they'll think, well, all that happened is they got back the extra pawn. No big deal. Don't worry, because we're going to take advantage of this precarious queen. For example, h3. And the queen is starting to run out of squares. Wherever she moves, friends, she only has one single square available. And that square is g3. There's no other way. And then we're going to manage to win this queen in a decisive way. Watch out, because now they're threatening to take our bishop. See it? Why? Because now, if they take the bishop, we no longer have the fork. But we don't care about that at all, because we're going for the queen. Knight to c3. And when they take the bishop, we'll play knight to d2. Attacking the queen, attacking this pawn with two pieces. Available squares for the green? She only has one. Friends, what is that square? g6. But now what happens? Our friends, the knights who turn into dinosaurs, knight to e5 check, and now we're going to gobble up the queen. As you can see, the King's Gambit is spectacular. If we're creative, we're going to win many more games. If you like these kinds of videos, give me a big thumbs up. If we reach, listen up friends, a challenge, If we reach 400 likes, I'll upload another spectacular way to win with another opening I've already planned. So the challenge for you is to reach 400 likes. If you liked this video and want to see many more, subscribe to the channel because you get a new video here every day. See you, as always, tomorrow, friends, in another video. Bye.